In the endless void of space, a routine mission turns into a fight for survival. When life support systems fail on a deep space research vessel, 6 astronauts face their darkest hour. With oxygen levels dropping and time running out, they must unravel an engineering mystery while confronting their own limits. But as they race against death, they discover something far more terrifying than equipment failure lurking in the shadows of their ship. What begins as a technical malfunction spirals into an existential crisis that will change humanity's understanding of space exploration forever. Can they restore life support before it's too late? Or will they be forced to abandon ship into the cold embrace of space? Watch this gripping tale of survival, ingenuity, and courage beyond Earth's atmosphere. Don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling space adventures. The research vessel Prometheus floated through the darkness of Sector 47b, its sleek titanium hull reflecting the distant light of a dying star. For 17 months, the 6-person crew had maintained perfect operational efficiency, conducting experiments and gathering data about deep space phenomena. The ship's sophisticated life support system, a marvel of modern engineering, had functioned flawlessly until that fateful moment when multiple warning alarms shattered the routine silence. Red emergency lights bathed the corridors in an ominous glow as critical systems began failing simultaneously across different sections of the vessel. Oxygen levels started dropping at an alarming rate, carbon dioxide scrubbers ceased functioning properly, and temperature control systems became erratic. The situation quickly escalated from manageable to catastrophic as backup systems failed to engage automatically, leaving the crew facing one of space exploration's worst nightmares. The crew's initial reaction was a mix of shock and disbelief. Each member instinctively moved toward their designated stations, their training kicking in despite the chaos. The commander's voice crackled over the intercom, calm but firm, issuing orders to assess the damage. Yet, beneath the surface, tension simmered. The ship's AI, designed to assist in emergencies, seemed unusually sluggish, its responses delayed and sometimes contradictory. Strange electromagnetic pulses rippled through the vessel, causing lights to flicker and panels to short-circuit. It was as if the Prometheus itself had become hostile, turning against its occupants. The crew realized they were not just fighting against a mechanical failure, but against an unknown force that seemed intent on dismantling their chances of survival. Each member of the crew reacted according to their training, though the magnitude of the crisis tested even their extensive preparation. The engineering specialist immediately accessed diagnostic panels scattered throughout the ship, attempting to isolate the root cause of the failures. Environmental sensors painted a grim picture. Without immediate intervention, breathable air would be depleted within 72 hours. The medical officer calculated that prolonged exposure to increasing carbon dioxide levels would begin affecting cognitive functions within 24 hours. Meanwhile, the commander coordinated efforts from the central control room, analyzing system logs that revealed an unprecedented cascade of malfunctions. What troubled them most was the apparent randomness of the failures. Different components from various manufacturers, installed during separate maintenance cycles, were all breaking down simultaneously. This pattern defied conventional troubleshooting logic and suggested something far more complex than simple mechanical failure. As the hours ticked by, the psychological weight of the situation began to manifest. The crew's movements became hurried, their expressions tense. The hum of the ship's engines, once a comforting constant, now felt like a countdown to doom. The environmental control station reported fluctuating pressure readings that couldn't be explained by known physics, while temperature sensors registered impossible values. These inconsistencies suggested that whatever had compromised their life support wasn't just a mechanical issue. It might represent an entirely new phenomenon never encountered before in human space exploration. The team huddled together in the dimly lit control room, their faces illuminated by the glow of screens displaying chaotic data streams. They knew they were running out of time, but the sheer complexity of the problem made it difficult to focus on a single solution. As the crew worked feverishly to stabilize their situation, they discovered anomalies in the ship's power distribution network. Electrical currents were behaving erratically, creating feedback loops that damaged connected systems. The engineering team identified unusual electromagnetic interference patterns emanating from the ship's outer hull, potentially originating from an unknown source outside the vessel. These findings added another layer of complexity to their already dire circumstances. Each attempted repair seemed to trigger new failures elsewhere in the system, as if the ship itself resisted their efforts to restore functionality. The environmental control station reported fluctuating pressure readings that couldn't be explained by known physics, while temperature sensors registered impossible values. These inconsistencies suggested that whatever had compromised their life support wasn't just a mechanical issue. It might represent an entirely new phenomenon never encountered before in human space exploration. The crew's frustration grew as they realized that traditional engineering solutions were ineffective against this mysterious threat. Every time they thought they had isolated a problem, another emerged in its place. The ship's AI, which should have been their greatest ally, began exhibiting strange behavior, issuing contradictory warnings and occasionally locking them out of critical systems. The commander ordered a full diagnostic sweep of the AI's core processors, suspecting that the interference might be corrupting its programming. Meanwhile, the medical officer monitored the crew's vital signs, noting subtle changes in heart rate and brain activity that hinted at the interference's effects on human biology. The team's growing sense of helplessness was tempered only by their determination to survive, even as the odds seemed increasingly stacked against them. The decision-making process grew increasingly challenging as the crew grappled with conflicting priorities. Should they focus all resources on repairing existing systems or attempt to activate emergency protocols designed for rapid evacuation? The prospect of abandoning ship raised numerous concerns. Their escape pods hadn't been serviced in over 9 months, and the nearest safe haven was a research station orbiting Europa, nearly 3 weeks away at maximum velocity. Moreover, the mysterious interference affecting their systems also impacted communication equipment, making it impossible to request assistance. The commander weighed these factors against the deteriorating physical condition of the crew, who were beginning to show signs of oxygen deprivation and stress-induced fatigue. Each passing hour brought them closer to having to make an irrevocable choice between staying aboard their crippled vessel or venturing into the void with limited supplies and uncertain prospects of survival. The crew's morale began to waver as they faced the reality of their predicament. Conversations became terse, and moments of doubt crept into their minds. The youngest member of the team, a biologist specializing in exoplanetary ecosystems, voiced fears that the interference might be a precursor to something far more sinister. Her hypothesis, though speculative, planted seeds of unease among her colleagues. What if they weren't dealing with a natural phenomenon or a technical glitch? What if the Prometheus had stumbled upon evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, and the interference was a warning, or worse, an attack? These thoughts lingered in the back of their minds as they continued their desperate efforts to stabilize the ship, each action tinged with the haunting possibility that they were being watched by forces beyond their comprehension. Through painstaking analysis of system logs and manual inspections, the crew gradually pieced together a disturbing pattern. The failures weren't random, but followed a precise sequence that repeated every 97 minutes, exactly matching the orbital period of a nearby abandoned satellite. This revelation led them to suspect that the satellite, thought to be derelict for decades, might actually be emitting some form of directed energy pulse. However, accessing the necessary tools to verify this theory required moving through increasingly hazardous areas of the ship where air quality had deteriorated significantly. Carbon dioxide concentrations in certain compartments had reached dangerous levels, forcing team members to work in short bursts before retreating to safer zones. Despite these challenges, they managed to retrieve crucial diagnostic equipment, discovering that the electromagnetic interference wasn't natural but carried encoded information pulses within its waveforms, suggesting intelligent design rather than mere cosmic radiation. The discovery of the satellite's involvement added a chilling dimension to their crisis. Historical records indicated that the satellite had been part of a classified military experiment decades earlier, designed to test advanced propulsion technologies. Its sudden reactivation raised troubling questions about whether it had been deliberately triggered or had somehow regained sentience after years of dormancy. The crew debated the implications of this finding, torn between scientific curiosity and the primal instinct to flee. Some argued that understanding the satellite's purpose could provide the key to resolving their predicament, while others feared that further investigation might provoke an even more aggressive response. The tension between these perspectives underscored the profound uncertainty of their situation, where every decision carried the weight of potential catastrophe. With this new understanding, the crew devised an ambitious plan to temporarily shield vital systems from the interference while working on a permanent solution. Using materials scavenged from non-essential equipment, they constructed makeshift Faraday cages around critical life support components. This process proved both physically demanding and mentally exhausting, requiring precise coordination in zero gravity while wearing increasingly cumbersome protective gear. As they worked, the ship's artificial intelligence system began exhibiting strange behavior, executing commands that hadn't been programmed and displaying cryptic messages on various terminals throughout the vessel. These developments added urgency to their efforts, as it became clear that the interference was not only damaging hardware but potentially compromising their primary navigation and safety systems. Time became their most precious resource as they raced to implement their shielding strategy before the next cycle of targeted failures occurred. The makeshift shields, though rudimentary, provided a temporary reprieve, allowing the crew to stabilize oxygen levels and reduce carbon dioxide buildup. However, the relief was short-lived. The satellite's emissions intensified, as if responding to their attempts to mitigate its effects. The crew observed that the interference patterns grew more complex, incorporating elements of adaptive learning that mimic biological neural networks. This realization sparked a heated debate. Were they dealing with a machine capable of evolving its tactics, or was there something more organic at play? The distinction blurred as they delved deeper into the data, uncovering traces of self-replicating algorithms embedded within the satellite's signal. The implications were staggering, suggesting that humanity's first contact with advanced technology might come not through peaceful exploration but through a battle for survival. Progress brought new complications as the crew discovered that the interference affected not only mechanical systems but also biological processes. Medical scans revealed unusual cellular activity in all crew members, particularly in neural tissues, suggesting that prolonged exposure might have long-term health consequences even if they survived the immediate crisis. This realization forced them to modify their work routines, implementing strict rotation schedules to minimize individual exposure times. Food preservation systems began failing, leading to concerns about long-term survival even if they managed to stabilize life support. Despite these challenges, they maintained detailed records of their efforts, documenting every success and failure in hopes that future missions might benefit from their experiences. The commander insisted on regular debriefings where each team member could share observations and suggestions, fostering an environment of open communication that helped maintain morale despite mounting difficulties. These sessions often lasted well beyond scheduled times, as crew members found comfort in the shared purpose and mutual support. The psychological toll of their ordeal became increasingly apparent. Sleep deprivation and the constant threat of death took a visible toll on their mental states. The biologist, haunted by visions of alien landscapes, began sketching intricate patterns she claimed represented the satellite's language. Her sketches bore an uncanny resemblance to fractal structures observed in deep space phenomena, raising the possibility that the satellite signals were encoding something far more profound than mere interference. The crew's interactions grew strained, yet moments of camaraderie emerged as they supported one another through the darkest hours. Their shared vulnerability created bonds stronger than any formal training could have forged, transforming them from individuals into a cohesive unit united by a singular goal: survival. Their investigation took an unexpected turn when they discovered remnants of an old research project hidden deep within the ship's archives. Decades earlier, the very satellite suspected of causing their current predicament had been part of a classified experiment involving directed energy transmission. The documentation, heavily redacted but still containing crucial technical details, revealed that the satellite was designed to test the feasibility of wireless power transfer over vast distances. However, the project had been abruptly terminated following unexplained accidents during initial trials. This historical context provided valuable insights into the nature of the interference patterns they were experiencing, allowing them to refine their shielding techniques and develop countermeasures specifically targeting the frequency spectrum used by the ancient technology. The discovery also raised ethical questions about the wisdom of continuing such experiments in deep space, where unintended consequences could persist for generations. The crew's understanding of the satellite deepened as they uncovered fragments of encrypted communications between it and unknown ground stations. These messages, though incomplete, hinted at a broader conspiracy involving multiple governments and private corporations. The satellite's activation appeared to coincide with geopolitical tensions on Earth, suggesting that its creators had intended it as a weapon rather than a tool for peaceful exploration. The implications were sobering. Humanity's hubris had sown the seeds of its own destruction, and the Prometheus was caught in the crossfire. The crew wrestled with the moral implications of their findings, questioning whether their survival justified the risks of tampering with forces they barely understood. Yet, driven by necessity, they pressed on, determined to find a way to neutralize the threat before it consumed them entirely. As they implemented their refined strategy, the crew encountered a series of setbacks that tested their resolve. Shielding effectiveness varied unpredictably across different sections of the ship, sometimes even reversing improvements they thought they'd achieved. Temperature fluctuations became more extreme, creating structural stress on the hull and threatening to compromise the integrity of their temporary repairs. Food preservation systems began failing, leading to concerns about long-term survival even if they managed to stabilize life support. Despite these challenges, they maintained detailed records of their efforts, documenting every success and failure in hopes that future missions might benefit from their experiences. The commander insisted on regular debriefings where each team member could share observations and suggestions, fostering an environment of open communication that helped maintain morale despite mounting difficulties. These sessions often lasted well beyond scheduled times, as crew members found comfort in the shared purpose and mutual support. The emotional strain of their predicament manifested in unexpected ways. The engineer, usually stoic and methodical, broke down during one debriefing, confessing his fear of never seeing his family again. The medic, tasked with monitoring the crew's health, noticed increased irritability and mood swings, symptoms of both oxygen deprivation and psychological distress. Yet, amidst the darkness, moments of hope emerged. The biologist's sketches evolved into a comprehensive model of the satellite's signal patterns, providing a roadmap for developing a countermeasure. The crew rallied around this breakthrough, channeling their collective energy into refining the design. Their determination became a beacon of resilience, a testament to humanity's indomitable spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. A breakthrough came when they successfully isolated a harmonic frequency within the interference pattern that appeared to act as a control signal for the satellite's emissions. By generating a precisely tuned counterfrequency using modified communication equipment, they managed to temporarily disrupt the harmful transmissions. This achievement bought them crucial time to implement more permanent solutions while providing valuable data about the satellite's operational parameters. However, the victory was bittersweet. Their success triggered a response from the satellite that intensified its output, forcing them to quickly adapt their countermeasures. The experience highlighted the delicate balance they needed to maintain between aggressive action and careful observation, as each intervention risked provoking stronger responses from the ancient technology. They realized they were engaged in a complex dance with forces they barely understood, where every step forward required careful consideration of potential consequences. The satellite's reaction confirmed their suspicions. It was not merely a relic of past experiments, but a sentient entity capable of adapting to external stimuli. Its behavior exhibited traits akin to biological organisms, including defensive mechanisms and strategic planning. The crews all mingled with terror as they contemplated the implications. If the satellite possessed some form of consciousness, then their actions might constitute the first meaningful interaction between humanity and an artificial intelligence born in the depths of space. The ethical ramifications were profound, forcing them to reconsider their approach. Rather than viewing the satellite as an adversary, they began exploring the possibility of communication, hoping to establish a dialogue that could lead to mutual understanding and coexistence. This shift in perspective marked a pivotal moment in their journey, transforming their struggle for survival into a quest for connection. The psychological toll of their extended crisis manifested in increasingly tangible ways. Sleep patterns became erratic, with crew members reporting vivid hallucinations during rest periods. Simple tasks required greater concentration, and decision-making processes slowed noticeably despite their best efforts to maintain efficiency. To combat these effects, they established strict protocols for monitoring each other's mental state, creating a system of checks and balances that helped prevent errors caused by impaired judgment. Physical exercise routines were adapted to accommodate the limited space and reduced oxygen levels, focusing on maintaining muscle tone and cardiovascular health while minimizing oxygen consumption. Mealtimes became important social events, providing structured opportunities for interaction and emotional support. These adaptations demonstrated remarkable resilience and ingenuity, transforming what could have been debilitating conditions into opportunities for strengthening their collective ability to survive. The crew's bond deepened as they shared their fears and hopes, revealing vulnerabilities they had kept hidden until now. The commander confessed doubts about his leadership, while the medic admitted to feeling overwhelmed by the responsibility of keeping everyone alive. These confessions fostered a sense of unity, reminding them that they were not alone in their struggles. Together, they developed coping strategies, drawing strength from their shared experiences. The biologist's sketches, once dismissed as obsessive, became a source of inspiration, symbolizing their determination to find meaning in chaos. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to grow and adapt, proving that even in the darkest moments, humanity's capacity for resilience and innovation could shine through. A breakthrough came when they successfully isolated a harmonic frequency within the interference pattern that appeared to act as a control signal for the satellite's emissions. By generating a precisely tuned counterfrequency using modified communication equipment, they managed to temporarily disrupt the harmful transmissions. This achievement bought them crucial time to implement more permanent solutions while providing valuable data about the satellite's operational parameters. However, the victory was bittersweet. Their success triggered a response from the satellite that intensified its output, forcing them to quickly adapt their countermeasures. The experience highlighted the delicate balance they needed to maintain between aggressive action and careful observation, as each intervention risked provoking stronger responses from the ancient technology. They realized they were engaged in a complex dance with forces they barely understood, where every step forward required careful consideration of potential consequences. The satellite's reaction confirmed their suspicions. It was not merely a relic of past experiments, but a sentient entity capable of adapting to external stimuli. Its behavior exhibited traits akin to biological organisms, including defensive mechanisms and strategic planning. The crews mingled with terror as they contemplated the implications. If the satellite possessed some form of consciousness, then their actions might constitute the first meaningful interaction between humanity and an artificial intelligence born in the depths of space. The ethical ramifications were profound, forcing them to reconsider their approach. Rather than viewing the satellite as an adversary, they began exploring the possibility of communication, hoping to establish a dialogue that could lead to mutual understanding and coexistence. This shift in perspective marked a pivotal moment in their journey, transforming their struggle for survival into a quest for connection. The final stages of their struggle demanded everything they had learned during their ordeal. Combining elements from previous successes with new insights gained from their research, they developed a comprehensive approach to resolving the crisis. This involved constructing a network of synchronized counterfrequency generators distributed throughout the ship, creating an overlapping field that could effectively shield all vital systems. Implementation required precise timing and coordination, as activating the generators in the wrong sequence could create destructive interference patterns. Working in teams of two, they methodically installed and calibrated each unit while monitoring environmental conditions for any adverse effects. The process was painstakingly slow, requiring constant adjustments based on real-time data analysis. Their perseverance paid off as stable operating conditions gradually returned to critical systems, though they remained vigilant against potential setbacks. The experience transformed them from individuals merely surviving a disaster into a cohesive unit capable of extraordinary achievements under extreme pressure. As normalcy slowly returned to the Prometheus, the crew reflected on how their experience had changed them fundamentally. Technical skills had evolved into intuitive understanding of complex systems, while personal relationships had deepened through shared adversity. The crisis had stripped away pretenses and exposed essential truths about human nature, revealing strengths and vulnerabilities that traditional training could never have prepared them for. They documented their journey in meticulous detail, not just as a technical report, but as a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. Each member contributed perspectives shaped by their unique role in the mission, creating a comprehensive record that would serve future explorers facing similar challenges. The abandoned satellite continued its lonely orbit, now better understood but still largely mysterious, serving as a reminder that space held secrets far beyond current human comprehension. Their encounter with this enigmatic entity had left an indelible mark on their souls, shaping their views on humanity's place in the cosmos. The aftermath of the crisis brought both relief and reflection. The crew spent days cataloging their findings, ensuring that no detail was overlooked. They meticulously recorded every aspect of the satellite's behavior, from its interference patterns to its apparent sentience. These documents, along with the biologist's sketches and the engineer's technical diagrams, formed a comprehensive archive that would be invaluable to future missions. The commander drafted a detailed report for Earth authorities, emphasizing the need for stricter regulations regarding experimental technologies in space. He also included recommendations for establishing protocols to handle encounters with potentially sentient entities, acknowledging that humanity's expansion into the stars would inevitably lead to such confrontations. The crew's return to Earth was met with mixed emotions. While they were celebrated as heroes, their experiences had irrevocably changed them. The biologist dedicated herself to studying the sketches she had created, convinced they held clues to understanding the satellite's true nature. The engineer founded a consultancy firm specializing in space-based safety systems, driven by a desire to prevent similar disasters. The medic wrote a memoir detailing their ordeal, highlighting the psychological challenges of deep space exploration. Each member carried a piece of the Prometheus with them, a reminder of the fragility of life and the boundless mysteries of the universe. Their story became a cautionary tale and an inspiration, underscoring the dual nature of human ambition, the capacity for destruction and the drive to explore. Months later, the crew reunited at a conference dedicated to advancing space exploration safety. They presented their findings to an audience of scientists, engineers, and policymakers, advocating for a multidisciplinary approach to addressing the challenges of deep space travel. Their presentation emphasized the importance of integrating psychology, biology, and ethics into mission planning, arguing that technological prowess alone was insufficient to ensure success. The satellite story served as a powerful example of how unforeseen consequences could arise from seemingly benign experiments, urging humanity to proceed with caution as it ventured further into the cosmos. The conference concluded with a standing ovation, recognizing the crew's contributions to the field and their unwavering commitment to advancing human knowledge. As they parted ways once again, the crew exchanged knowing glances, aware that their bond transcended professional collaboration. They had faced death together and emerged stronger, their shared ordeal forging a connection that no amount of time or distance could sever. The Prometheus remained in orbit, a silent witness to their triumphs and tribulations. Its legacy lived on in the lessons they had learned and the changes they had inspired, a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. And so, their story became more than a tale of survival. It became a beacon of hope, illuminating the path forward for future generations of explorers. Don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling tales of courage and discovery in the vast expanse of space.